This is Manchester United versus Liverpool.
One of the Premier League's greatest rivalries continues this weekend. Manchester United against Liverpool. And if you'd like to have your say on the show, then get involved. Hashtag weekend warm-up. And if there has been a better show to be a part of, I'm not sure. And I'll tell you for why. For the first time this season, we will be hearing from Cristiano Ronaldo. CR7 right on here. Hashtag weekend warm-up.
Loved that, Jay. That was beautiful.
Nailed
right.
that.
Yeah. Absolutely nailed that.
You took your time on the weekend warm-up just to make sure you got the correct show.
Well, you have to do that.
You do. So,
because I easily could have said fan zone, very easily.
Manchester United against Liverpool. It's the biggest game of the fixture for both of the season for both of these teams, and it's one that we all look forward to, Don.
Quiz question: who scored the very first Premier League goal in this fixture?
Was it Don Hutchison?
It was Leroy.
Oh, really?
No way!
It was.
Wow.
He tells us that every season.
Can you just follow me? Can you just follow me? Can you just follow me?
You're gonna.
Yay!
Unfortunately, we drew 2-2. We blew a two-goal lead. And to answer your question, Seems, this is monstrous. This, for me, will always be the biggest fixture because of the rivalry, because of the history. It's a huge game, and the fans absolutely adore this game. They'll be petrified at the same time because Liverpool go in there, we look at the current form, and everyone thinks foregone conclusion. Jurgen Klopp's men will go to Old Trafford, they'll beat them. The world doesn't work like that in this fixture. They'll be petrified at the same time because one of his individuals and one of those Galacticos can step up at the weekend and potentially, for Man U fans, get the winner. So it's a monstrous game.
And it comes at a good time as well, Leo, and you know, not to bog you down with stats. Liverpool scored 22 goals in the Premier League so far this season. Manchester United with 10, only one team in the top 10 have conceded more. So styles make fights. Is it the defence or is it the attack?
You're absolutely right about styles, but I just think Liverpool's style suits Man United at the moment. One, being underdogs, which United fans wouldn't like to be, but they are. And two, Liverpool play such a high line. United, under Ollie, one of his best tactics since he's been manager has been the counter-attack. You know, I first saw it a few years ago against Tottenham when Rashford played wide right and Pogba was just dropping into midfield, hitting those diagonals. So United players will look forward to this.
Have they got the pace at the moment, though? Because that team you're talking about had Martial, who was quick, Rashford, who was quick. OK, we know Ronaldo's quite quick, but does he and will he make as many runs in behind?
Well, as you said, it depends on the personnel, but he's got options now because he signed so many players. You know, Rashford, with a little bit of doubt about a dead leg, but he's key in this game. Greenwood, yes, certainly quick enough. Ronaldo, yeah, can he create that space for those players? But I think the other one who'll come into his thinking is Jesse Lingard. You know, every time when he plays in midfield, making those long, you know, gut-busting runs from midfield, he can score goals. I think the one that he'll mostly leave aside is Jadon Sancho at the moment because his form's not great, and he knows that they'll be without the ball for a lot of the game. We had the discussion about it. United at Old Trafford, I expect Liverpool to have the most possession, 60% possession in the game, and I think United will be quite happy with that.
So many people talking about Liverpool being the favourites in this just because of their form coming into this particular match. If you look at Manchester United's season, you look at the first 5 games, their return in terms of goals scored, goals conceded and points collected are so different to match week 6 to 8 where it's completely dropped off. And my question to you is, Don, why? What's happened here?
Do you know what I saw since match day 1 with Man United, and they were getting some wins, scoring some goals, and everything seemed a little bit fine? Out of the majority of all the games that I've watched them this season, they very rarely had control over any game.
And they rely on moments of magic, don't they, and brilliance, like they did against Atalanta.
Exactly. That's why this game is different, and that's why this game is so hard to call, because, as you say, from match 1 to 5, you look at United and you think they've got goals in them. Yeah. Why wouldn't they when they've got Cavani and Rashford and Ronaldo and Jadon Sancho and the list goes, Mason Greenwood, and the list goes on and on and on. The trouble is, when you're playing in the Premier League, like the Champions League, if you don't get control of a game, you know, you see it against Atalanta midweek when Man United were 2-0 behind. It was still a wide-open game. United got the next goal in the game and went 2-1. They created so many chances, Atalanta going the other way. David De Gea kept them in the game, otherwise 3-1, the game was finished. The momentum turned, they got 2-2, and you're watching the game going, they'll win it. Because they've got galactic goals, they've got momentum, they've got all the crowd right behind them. When you've not got control of a game, and you go 2-0 behind against Liverpool, and they will dominate the ball, and Liverpool might look like they're going to get 3, 4, 5 and 6, you ain't coming back. So that's Ollie's biggest problem. He's got all the players, he's got all the tools, he's got to mould them into a team that's going to beat one of the best.
Yeah, Donna, you're absolutely right about control of the game. When you watch Man United, you just know the opposition feel that they've got a chance. They've always got a chance. And you're talking about control of the game. Controls with and without the ball. I would say Liverpool have most control with and without the ball, as do Man City. Chelsea have total control when they're in possession of the ball, and they try and control where the other team is going to go. Man United, when they're without the ball, have no control about what's happening. It's off the cuff. And that's why, you know, at the top level, you need players who know exactly what they're doing before they go onto the pitch. And Don mentioned that there's players who go on and don't know what's going to happen before they go on the pitch. Every Liverpool player, before those magical moments come, like the Salah moments and the De Bruyne moments, they know exactly what they're going to do wherever that ball is on the pitch. Man United players don't. It's all off the cuff.
I say this in a little bit of jest. When you're watching Man United at the minute, it's like watching the Harlem Globetrotters. It's like watching that famous basketball team where it's all flicks and tricks, and when it comes off, it looks amazing. What you've got to do now, especially in football, and especially in the Premier League nowadays, you've got to worry about the opposition. It's not all about Man United going forward and looking at the names on paper thinking they can destroy anyone because they're good players. The best teams will not even let you see the ball. So I say the pressure's on Ollie. He's got to pick the right team to try and beat Liverpool, because it's one of them where literally you don't know which way it's going to go. I've got an idea on how it's going to go, and I'd lean towards massively being at Liverpool. But with them players, if he gets it right, at home, at Old Trafford, with fans in the stadium, it's going to make a great game.
For anybody under the age of 60, the Harlem Globetrotters is like a basketball team. Thought I needed to clear that up. Leroy, they say bad luck come in threes, all right? Manchester United, one, aren't playing well. Two, they're up against their bitter rivals this weekend. And their bitter rivals for third love to score lots of goals on the road. And we know Liverpool have been playing well. And we like to focus on the performances as opposed to the stats alone. But these numbers are very impressive in anyone's language.
Look, those results don't lie. And you watch their performances, you know what, in a lot of their games, they could have scored more, in all honesty. I think they're getting right up to pace. I think you spoke to someone during the week and they said Liverpool are at 80%. So they were against Watford. They were nowhere near full throttle. They had a tough game in midweek, but they came through it against Atletico, scored another 3. This side are getting back to their very, very best. And I always had a doubt about whether we need to renew, you know, what he had in terms of players. But when he turns back to the so-called old guard, I think the old guard are actually more mature, and I think they could get even better. I didn't think it could happen. A couple of seasons, do I think Salah, Mané, Firmino could get any better? No, they've hit their peak. No, they haven't. They are still going. Certainly, Mo Salah's still going like that. Firmino, as we've seen, I think it's getting even better. Mané just does not seem to.
He didn't have a great season last season, but he's definitely coming to blocks
by his standards. So
Firmino's the one. Firmino's the one. I watched him, last week against Watford, and he makes the game look ridiculously easy. The positions that he picks up and how skillful and how technically good he is, and the pitches that he sees. So it's that age-old debate. If you're Jurgen Klopp, the day before a game and you're looking at your personnel and you're watching them doing a 7v7 and everyone's at it, do you want someone like Jota, who is always a goal threat and he can score 1 goal and miss 2 or 3, but that's great for the position that he plays in? Or do you go someone like a Firmino, who's going to link the play and is going to play in between the lines, and for midfield players is a dream player?
What would you go for, Don?
I think I'd lean towards Firmino, because I'm being a little bit selfish and I'm looking at it from a midfield player's point of view. And if I'm banging balls into Firmino and my midfield partner, or I'm making runs off him, 9 times out of 10, I know it's going to stick.
You just said it, Don. Look, I'd always go for Firmino because Don said it earlier. Control of the game. It gives you control of the game. And that's the key.
If you were, as a manager or as a player, and I don't know if it would be the same answer, picking yourself, would you rather play against an out-and-out direct goal-scoring threat like Jota or someone like Bobby Firmino?
Jota, because Jota would be easy to mark. And Jota, early in the season, he got his goal. Yeah, he's a good player, but he's easy to mark. And Liverpool didn't have control of the games earlier in the season. As soon as Firmino comes in, you're still going to get what you get out of Salah and Mané, but they're going to get even more with Firmino, because Firmino supplements the midfield. He makes it easier when midfield players get on the ball. He's in space, and it makes it easy for them. All of a sudden, your midfield starts to play. At the back, because he drops into spaces and he moves the centre-halves around, Van Dijk's diagonal comes into play. So always for me, Firmino for me is the best player in that Liverpool team.
Where he plays, he wears number 9 on his back, Don, right? But whose responsibility will it be in that Manchester United team to pick him up?
It's a good question, because I remember playing against Man U for many, many a year, and going to Old Trafford, you used to get a pasting. And the arguments that we would have coming in at half-time, when Cantona used to drop into them little holes, you wouldn't believe the arguments. You wouldn't believe who was blaming who. And the managers, Peter Reid comes to mind, would want one of his full-backs to go quite narrow. That felt a bit alien to me. I always think it should be the holding midfield player's responsibility because he's in the area anyway. In my opinion, what you wouldn't want to do is get a full-back to go and mark and then all of a sudden, you know, someone like Luke Shaw or Wan-Bissaka's on the overlapping space. So I think when you're playing up against him, I think it's a day for Ollie to pick a holding midfield player and say to whoever it is, Mané, whoever it might be, you might be the key today, but you are going to have to be disciplined without the ball. I'm not even bothered what you do with the ball. If you get it, move it on, shift it on, quick as you can. But make sure you stand and do that graphic that we've got all in these iPads, do a graphic right across there. And that's where Firmino is going to pick the ball up, just outside the 18-yard box, in between the halfway line. That area for Liverpool, if they get it right and Man U get it wrong, they could destroy Man United.
Do you know, you teed me up so nicely there without even knowing it, because you know who we're hearing from next?
Who?
Weekend for Manchester United, a big weekend for Scott McTominay. The question is, Leroy, does he start for you this weekend?
It's a good question, Seema. We have got him in the team. If you see the teams we put up here, we've got McTominay and Fred as holding midfielders. That's where Ollie seems to go in the big games. We've got Greenwood out on the right, he's in fantastic form. Ronaldo has to play after his drop, you know, a couple of weeks ago. We've got Pogba out on the left, which is open for debate, and Fernandes in that number 10 position. And, I mean, Don, you know, Pogba on the left, obviously dealing with Salah and Alexander-Arnold might not happen, might play a little. Rashford on the bench, but in these games, he's vital to United. He's got a little bit of a dead leg, so he could play on that left-hand side if Ollie wants to play in that counter-attacking. Sancho, I don't feel he'll start.
No.
What do you think?
I think there might be a reason why Pogba was rested against Atalanta and is for this game. He won't play as wide as that. I think, you know, when we're talking about Greenwood, I think expect Mason Greenwood to be in here, you know, Fernandes to be there, Ronaldo there, and Pogba sort of in that. So a 4-2-3-1. And Ollie saying to McTominay and Fred, don't move.
Absolutely.
Don't move whatsoever, because I can't imagine Luke Shaw having Pogba in front of him are going to deal with these three.
No, absolutely not. And this back four, they have got to play now. You know, got to play now and defend properly. They'll be without the ball. You know, Maguire, he came back after 24 hours of training, one day of training before. It's not good enough, not for Man United, and it showed in his performance. So he's got to be up for it. But Liverpool, Don, how do you think they're going to start?
Well, I think, you know, when you talk about Jurgen Klopp, I think we are going to be 10 players where we're going to be absolutely correct in who plays and where they play. I wonder if it's the game for Naby Keita. Right. Playing in this game, it'll be 20 minutes in before Naby Keita goes, what's happened there? It's that type of game. It is fast, it is furious. He likes a little bit of time on the ball. So he has got options. He could play Curtis Jones, who's back. Yeah. He's a player that can do a little bit of midfield, and we saw in the Champions League he's been outstanding. Or it could be a James Milner. So whichever one he goes for, they'll play alongside Fabinho and Jordan Henderson. But you look at that Liverpool team, and this is why it's brilliant, because United fans will look at the graphic there and think, oh, can Greenwood do a little bit against Robertson? Yeah. Can Sean Pogba do a little bit against Trent? Liverpool fans will be going, oh, Mané up against Wan-Bissaka, Firmino up against Maguire and Lindelof, Salah doing his Salah things. It's just a brilliant game to watch, and it's fascinating what 11s they go for.
Absolutely, yeah.
Leroy, a lot of late has been made of Manchester United's ability or inability to press. And we do know that Liverpool like to play out from the back. And that game against Leicester City for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's men was very difficult, wasn't it? It
was, and we've got some analysis on that. And you know what? The examples we've got of them pressing, trying to press, you know, in a mid-block, but pressing, no matter where the ball is, you've got to press at some time. They've got to get it right. It might be a little bit deeper against Liverpool. But Don, you commentated on this game. What did you see? I did.
So this was a goal rush game last weekend, and I couldn't quite get to grips with how the game was unfolding. And I come away from the game watching or thinking, was it the Man United players that couldn't press? And then I look at people like Ronaldo. Ronaldo can still press distances of 10 yards. You know, players can still press 5 and 10 yards. They can still go and press the ball high up the pitch if they really want to. And I sort of come away from it and I thought, I wonder if these was the manager's instructions for Man United not to press, because what I was seeing, I couldn't quite believe. Ronaldo makes a half-hearted attempt to go and press. I'll take that back slightly. So from then on, you're thinking, if you're Man United and you're Ollie and you showed them this, you think they are in a fantastic position. They're in a brilliant position. Everyone for Man United is locked on. Ronaldo's doing a job there where he's locked on. They're waiting to set 1 or 2 traps. All right, Johnny Evans might be the free man, but that's a hard ball to try and find him in there. And then you watch what Ronaldo does. he puts the brakes on, and then Leicester start all over again. And that was a theme for about 35 minutes watching the game, trying to... Is it the players? Is it the manager?
Well,
what am I seeing?
Absolutely, Don, you're absolutely right. And what you saw there was Ronaldo playing in a 4-3-3. You know, when you've got 3 midfield players sat off, he doesn't expect Paul Pogba to come into that space. As a centre-forward, if the ball goes back, what he's trying to do is cut off that ball into the midfielder because he doesn't want him getting on the ball. But they weren't playing 4-3-3. No. And what he needs to do is just go in and just close that space down and stop it as well as he can going the other side of the pitch. Lack of communication, Don, wasn't it?
Well, you see from here, you see Leicester now comfortable in the game. They started working 1 or 2 passes. United not really sprinting. Jadon Sancho's not sprinting. And then from there, you are 1 pass away from getting someone in and Jamie Vardy in behind. And it was the theme watching the game. It was really, really bizarre. It was a great game to watch. It was, as I said before, it was a basketball game. This is the worst example if you're a United fan. Let me just take that back. And how many times in Premier League or any top competition do you see a player and it's Johnny Evans on the ball? Many times do you see a player in the Premier League, Leroy, walk with the ball?
Not often.
Now watch him. I know this is in really slow motion, but look at the lack of attempt from any Man United player just to go and show a little bit of urgency. Go and shut someone down, press them high up the pitch. And for a Premier League footballer, when you're saying to Johnny Evans, go on, you can have a walk. You can have a walk. I've got a Marty to the left-hand side, Samare and Tielemans in midfield. We're outstanding. People think that's Paul Pogba being close to Tielemans. 5 yards off in the Premier League. That's a lifetime of space.
Exactly. It's too good. And, you know, when you're a top quality player, you only need a yard of space and they're giving them 2 or 3 yards of space. And if you're not pressing, then this space is going to come into play, Don, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, I go back to it. Was it the players who Ollie's playing are not capable of pressing, or was that the manager's instructions for them not to press and trying to set traps? Whatever it was, it didn't work because I've got to say, a quick mention to Tielemans man of the match in that game was outstanding. It was 4-2 in the second half, going on 7.
Yeah, it was. And actually, we've had a tweet in from Junior who said exactly that. He said the lack of pressing and intensity from Man United was really alarming, but I think it might be the manager's instruction. Yeah, well, the buck stops with the manager, Seema, in all honesty, and he's got to be clear. If they're not getting the message, he's got to be clear as to what he wants. And I've got some clips of Firmino because, and it's really important. That's a really great question because when you see Firmino, if they're not clear on how they're going to stop him playing, then they've got massive problems. Just going to pause it here, Don. And this, you know, Firmino in that position, in space. Can I take that back? Yeah, sorry, and just show the intelligence of Firmino. So Firmino's standing in an area where you can't get him the ball. So this is a debate between Firmino and Jota. Yeah. So you superimpose Jota into where Firmino's standing there. Yeah. So that's Jota. Yeah. I guarantee you Jota would make that run. Yeah. And he'd make that run. Have a little look at the difference between Jota and what Firmino does. He comes the other side of the holding midfield player and gets that yard of space. Exactly. And what that does, Don, by doing that, I'm just going to play at full pace, it allows you Mané and Salah's then to run forward and get in the box. Now look at their positions. Again, you just pick the ball up here. Look where he is. He's so deep. But just look at that melee. Look at those players that he's just brought to the ball. 3 Watford players out of the game because he's just gone short. Look at Mané. Look at Salah. Look at them. They're just absolutely loving it. And this guy is in acres of space. That's all from Firmino. And just that initial play, and he's behind the ball. So that's why I was so pleased on that he got his hat-trick, because everyone was saying, people, oh, what a great... He's always been a great player, and he's not about goals, he's about the team. This is the best one, I think, when you talk about people shutting down, because you can imagine Ronaldo, I keep saying these distances, people say, well, Ronaldo can't shut the ball down. Any professional athlete can run 5 yards. Yeah. And I mean anyone. I could run 5 yards. Yeah. It's easy. When you've got to run 20 and 30 or 50 times a game, that's when you know you can't do it anymore. But watch what happens when Firmino closes the ball down. He thinks he can nick it off Danny Rose, which he does, and then I'll play it on, and then all of a sudden, look at the body language of Sadio Mane. He is off, because he knows he's going to find him. Salah's going to probably drift offside, but he knows eventually, Mane, that the ball's going to come in from Firmino. He knows his mate, he knows he's got the quality, just misses wide, but that's what they bring when he shuts the ball down. Absolutely, and I just think, look, again, area there. I mean, this was awful from Watford. This is something United can't do. And that's why I think they will play deeper. I think they will try and close the space down. And for 95 minutes, they've got to stop this guy playing. Because, yeah, Salah is world-class, Mane is world-class, but this is the guy who makes them tick. I agree.
OK, let's bring into the conversation now somebody to wax lyrical about our favourite Mo. Well, our second favourite Mo and our second favourite DJ. Mo Stewart is back in the house. Welcome to Weekend Warm-Up. We've just been speaking about Bobby Firmino, but his strike partner, Mo Salah, 9 in 9. It's a new record in the Premier League, equalling Didier Drogba. What have you made of it?
He's fantastic. I think it's easy to get blasé about it sometimes because this is his 5th season with us and he's been fantastic in all 5 seasons. But I think even by his standards, it looks like he's gone up a level. It's almost like he's seen a gap at the top of the absolute elite players and he thought, this is my chance to get in there. And when you've got someone like that in your side, you can just energise everybody else. And added bonus of the fact that they all know each other so well, they know each other's tendencies. So when they are playing in sync and they're all vibing off each other, it's just so impossible to stop.
Mo, hi mate, Don in the studio. As a Liverpool fan, and you're thinking of what Jurgen Klopp going to do, what would you do as a Liverpool fan? What would you want to see? Would you rather see, because we're having a debate in the studio, who's better, and not in a critical way, they're just completely different. Would you rather Jota play because you know he's a forward runner and he gets goals, he gets assists, he's always a threat, he's always got loads of energy? Or do you love the quality of what Firmino brings?
It's a difficult one, Don, because they do both do different things, but I think both of those things are beneficial to the game. If it was me, what I would suspect is that Firmino starts. Like you say, United are going to try and compact space. They are going to have to put in a lot more energy and pressing than they've shown in recent games because the Old Trafford crowd won't stand for it. So whether it was Ollie's idea or not, they're going to have to do that. And we kind of want them to do that. We want them to use up as much energy as possible. And then in the second half, when they're still trying to play the high line, but they're a little bit more tired, that's when you bring Jota on with lightning runs to stretch the play again. And you can kind of give them a 1-2 punch in that way. I think it's the real beauty of having the difference between their styles.
Mo, 9 in a row. It's a new club record, as I said, for Mo Salah. Which of his 2 goals did you prefer? The one against Manchester City because it was against Manchester City, or the one against Watford because it was the second time in a row that he'd done it?
I mean, you want to say your big player performs in the biggest games. So for that, you have to kind of lean towards Man City. But at the end of the day, we won against Watford. We didn't win against Man City. And also, like you say, it's the second time. So, I mean, I doubt there was anyone out there who really thought that was a fluke. But just in case there was, let me do it here again. I love it.
Mo, now to the most important question of all. So Jay mentioned, quite fittingly, that we're going to wax lyrical about Mo Salah.
That's because he's a DJ. Wax is what that's called vinyl.
There's another
She's
one,
got
Mo.
it. She got it.
Actually, you know, we're saying everything that Mo Salah touches turns to gold. Well, actually, everything he touches turns to wax because now he is featuring in Madame Tussauds. And I want to know what you think of this.
Which one's it?
I mean, he is the person in blue.
Okay.
But his waxwork model is in white. Do we like the outfit? Do we think that's good?
It's a bit JJ outfit, the one on the right. I can see JJ rocking that.
Funnily enough, our producer said it's something that I've probably worn before, so I don't know what that says about us, Jay.
I mean, in all honesty, it looks more like him than a lot of statues we see, so I'm kind of all right with it.
Yeah.
But you're right. That suit is not him. They've taken that off of Ellen DeGeneres or someone else.
I love the giggle. Sorry, Mo. I love the giggle that he had, Mo Salah.
Oh, I know.
When he looked into the suit and he went, "Has he got my abs?" And you're just thinking, "Not many have, mate. Not many have."
I mean, they're clearly very important to him. He gets them out at every single opportunity, so why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
exactly. Mo, before we say goodbye, what's your score prediction then?
I kind of like another what we had last time. I think there's going to be goals on both sides. Like, we joke about Manchester United, but they do have the ability to score goals, but we have a better ability to score goals. We've scored at least 3 in the last, 8 games away from home? So I'm expecting that to be 9. So I'm saying 3-1 Liverpool.
Brilliant.
Mo, thanks very much for joining us on the show. Always a pleasure. We didn't get in to pull out any records this time. So from talking about the most celebrated Premier League player at the moment to one of all time, here's CR7.
It's the criticized always gonna exist. You know, you play in one of the biggest clubs in the world, so it's happened. But we have to deal with that. We have to to have to be able to accept the criticism because Manchester is like that.
It's always spurred you on, personally. Do you get the feeling it's going to do that to this group?
Yes. My second day with the group, I had speeches in a hotel that I said that I'm so proud to be here. I see a huge potential in this club and these new players, this new generation. So I'm here to help, with my experience, with my goals, with the way I play. I hope to help the team to be in a top level. So this is why I'm here, to win.
I love that he's saying he is here to help. And can you imagine if he scores at Old Trafford? It is going to go crazy. The crowd are going to love it.
Not if they're 5-0 down at the time.
Can I just say his last two words there, though? When he said, I'm here to help.
Yeah.
His last two words, win stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Win
And
stuff.
that's what he wants. Nothing less than winning. What do you think the score's going to be, by the way?
Oh, we're going that early?
I just wanted to know, yeah.
We're going that early? I'm going to go a 3-1 or 1-3 Liverpool.
I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool.
Wow. Resounding in the studio. OK, there's 4 of us here. But weekend warm-up will not be complete without our 5th member. Io,